In this video, we're going to take a look at some subtle and easy effects that you can create to enhance simple text or logos using the free program Gimp and Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so let's start with the program Gimp. We have our logo and we're going to add a little bit of color to make it a little bit more interesting. So we'll just change this text layer, make it a red color. Next, I'm going to take the text layers that we've got, duplicate them, and then merge them together so that we have a single layer to which we can apply effects. Just merging them now. Okay, turn off the text layers and we can see our layer there. Gimp has quite a few effects, but we're going to just use some very subtle, simple ones. The drop shadow is always good, but make sure you keep it not too harsh, basically. Just using a 4 pixels offset here. There you can see it's quite subtle. Next up, I'm going to duplicate the layer and use that to apply a lighting effect, which will we use to create a kind of gradient. Just play around here with the settings a little bit. I duplicated the layer before I applied this effect because it's not that easy to reverse. Just going to move it a little bit. Okay. Now this effect's quite harsh, so I'm going to use the layer underneath that I duplicated and down the opacity of the heavy effect layer to bring it down to make it more subtle again. There you go, it's getting there. That's nice. And you can see the subtle effect there. Okay, I think that's quite a good job there in Gimp. Onto Adobe Photoshop. We've taken the logo with the red colouring here, and the effects are a lot easier to apply just in the layer styles. As you can see in the layer styles palette, I've got a lot of choices here. So we'll start off with a very light drop shadow, just on the quit word in this case. I've got the layers separate. And I'm also going to apply another effect in a minute. Let's get the drop shadow correct. Okay, now I'm embossing. You can see that the emboss can be put really harsh, but we don't want it like that. A lot of people make the mistake of using heavy effects, but we're going to make it much more subtle. Okay, you can see that's given a nice embossed effect. I'm happy with that. Just taking a look at some of the other effects, but I think I'm happy. Okay, now for the black text, I'm going to add a gradient to each one. That's a bit too heavy, so let's take the white off by changing the opacity of the gradient that's overlaying, and apply a slight drop shadow. The same. There we go, that's looking nice. And the same for her job, but maybe I'll reverse the gradient so it comes up from the bottom. Just changing the angle here. and it's fading out a little bit much, so I'm going to change the opacity again slightly. That's nice. Okay, and you can see how quickly we've made that punch. Basically, the simple text is now a lot more punchy, and the effects are very much more subtle than many people would put on if they were playing around in Photoshop. As you can see, it's quite simple to use some easy effects to make a logo stick out a lot more. Obviously, there's a lot more you can do if you play around, and hopefully if you read the rest of the post at the URL shown on the screen and below in the description of this video, you'll be able to learn a little bit more and give it a shot yourself.